Hey guys, Andrew here, coming at you with another Livsn Live Q&A session. This time, we're going to be going into the people behind the brand. It'll be me, my story, the story of the startup. It'll be Chris Woolas joining us from Portland, Oregon for this session. Very happy to have Chris here. He's Finigla. He was one of the first ones in. Hey, Chris. Please start posting questions now. I'm actually going to, give me 1 second, I'm going to post a pinned comment saying as such. Here we go. And we got a pin. We're good. These are going to be regular. We've talked about it before, but we're doing these every Thursday and Sunday at 6 p.m., really setting Livsn up on a foundation of sustainability and transparency. This is a place for you guys to be a part of the process, ask the questions you want to, give us your opinion, let us know how you value a business to run, let us know your views on product development, let us know your views on sustainability, let us know what it is that you are interested in seeing from a brand that comes out, that's founded in 2019 and really built on values that we all share, values of sustainability, transparency, conscious capitalism, business is a force for good, really buy it for life attitude and non-consumerist values. So last week was really great, and by last week I mean this last Sunday. We had an episode where we talked about the introduction to this. We laid out the schedule. You guys asked some really great questions around sustainability. Looking forward to hearing more of that now. I've got a few of your questions from Reddit, Facebook, and direct messages that we've got from then to now that I'm going to answer as well. So if you're tuned in, if you can't tune in, you'll hear them later. Also, on that note, if you can't make it to these live events, we are recording these and put them up on YouTube. You can actually find last week's live session on YouTube right now on our channel. There's a link to that in the profile of our Instagram page. So you can go over to our Instagram profile, click that link after this is done, watch last week's interview, and you'll be able to get caught up there. Also, once again, in the future, if you can't make it for one of these Thursday or Sunday night sessions, then you'll be able to come in and see that on YouTube later. So don't worry about it. We're also going to recap these on our email list and link those YouTube videos as well. So this week's been really busy for Livsn. We filmed a video where we started the filming of our Kickstarter launch version 2 video. So we actually went up to Bentonville, Arkansas to Onyx Coffee Lab and partnered with Allied Cycle Works. Thank you so much if you're watching. They gave us a really awesome Porsche acid green road bike to film our scene of a guy working at his computer at a laptop, getting up, throwing on his helmet, rolling up his flex canvas pants, using the system, jumping on the bike and riding off. We also filmed our urban mountain bike scene, which was really cool. So we had someone leaving a building on campus here in Fayetteville, jumping on his bike, doing some shredding, shredding down the stairs, doing really great moves all around campus, and then getting onto dirt, really showing that our pants can take you from the classroom, from the office, to the bike, to the trail, to the wall, to the climbing wall, to whatever you need to do. We also have we've been working on promotion partners for the Kickstarter coming up. So we're working with, like I said, Allied Cycle Works. Hammock makes really awesome hammocks. They're going to be on board, donated a hammock and one of their mesa mats for our video scene we're going to do at Buffalo River area, the Horseshoe Canyon Ranch, where we're going to have a scene of someone hiking up to the wall, putting down the rope bag, climbing up, and then coming down and breaking camp and hanging out to really close out the city to trail to everywhere you want to go with these pants. That's the storyline there. I'm going to go ahead and just remind that we're doing these every Thursday and Sunday at 6 p.m. We're going to keep doing these at least for the next 5 weeks. After that, we're probably going to slow it down to weekly, just keep it on a more regular cadence and keep it being repetitive. But the next 5 weeks we have topics to talk about. Some of the things I'll highlight here. We're going to go into the design process of the flex canvas pants, and if you're a startup person, if you're someone who's involved in the process, oversees production, product development, we're going to go into everything from the initial sketch all the way through to the supply chain sourcing, finding our factory, getting it done, the sampling process, the editing process, and how that goes to get a product through the market, or from supplier all the way to market. So with that, tonight's episode is all about the story of the people behind it, including myself. Chris is here on this live. I'm gonna ask him to knock, I guess, digitally knock to get involved in split screen this so we can answer questions here. So ask the questions. We're going to go into our story, but ask questions. We can talk about sustainability. Once again, we can talk about the startup process. We can talk about fundraising. We can talk about whatever you want. If we don't get any questions going quickly, I've got a few that we can run through and answer. But in the meantime, Chris, I'm going to invite you here. Go live with Enigma. We're waiting on Chris to come on. He's going to introduce himself here in a second.
Can you see me?
Hey, Chris. So, Chris,
hey,
tell us where you are, Chris.
I'm in Portland, Oregon right now. I'm actually in my car, but I'm just going to do it from the car. I guess that's the beauty of 2019. I can kind of just be anywhere.
Yeah, nice. Well, so while you're here, Chris, we're gonna wait for a few more questions to come in. Once again, we've got our questions that have been submitted in the meantime that we're going to answer. Sure. If no one else asks anything. But guys, we want to be here for you. I'm going to angle my camera a little bit. So our goals for this brand are really to be the model for how you can build a company in this day and age, how to build products that are truly built to last, not made to fall apart. We're very much on the opposite side from planned obsolescence. We are a buy it for life company, and we're built on values of sustainability. And part of that is transparency, and part of that is being able to directly own up to our decisions and explain our thought process to our customers. So please ask the question now. And with that, we are going to jump into the topic of tonight's post, which is really us. You get to meet Andrew, you get to meet Chris, and hear our story. And we won't go too deep into this, mainly just because we don't really just contrary to what it might look like on these, I don't really just sitting here talking about myself. So
yeah.
Mute this. Let's see. Pull up. All right. So we're talking about the story of Andrew here. But I'm the founder and CEO of this company. I was born actually in New Orleans, Louisiana, and lived most of my life here where we are now in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Really fell in love with this area at a young age, exploring creeks, rivers, the hollows of the Ozark Mountains. Really taking a special liking to the areas around the Buffalo National River and the Mulberry River, spending time camping, hiking, hunting, fishing as a kid, but really migrating into climbing and mountain biking as I got older. These days, I have a lot of hobbies and interests, but really what I'm focused on is mountain biking, whitewater canoeing, and overland travel. I've got a truck that we're looking to do some vehicular camping with, which is fun. So after you're doing school and afterwards, I had several jobs, but I actually spent a season raft guiding for Nantahala Outdoor Center out on the Ocoee River in Tennessee. Had a lot of fun doing that. When I came back to Fayetteville, I actually landed at an outdoor lifestyle clothing company called Fayetteville. One of my friends, Grant, was a co-founder there, and with my 1 year of experience working in a warehouse, I had all the qualifications that come on to be warehouse manager there. So came on, did that. Learned every really moving part of building an apparel company. Throughout the course of the time there, I went from warehouse manager to logistics and website, and then to COO and the CEO of that company, and really figured out how to build a brand. I figured out how to lead a team. I learned on the job how to bring products overseas, how to source fabrics, how to source trims, how to source manufacturers, and then how to manage that process, and then finally how to really create a brand that motivates people on a level more than just a consumerism level, how to speak the truth. Let's see. Cool. We see questions coming on. So yeah, continue that.
Little by little.
Yeah, ask questions. Keep them coming. We want to answer. We want to be transparent. This isn't this is about y'all. Let's see.
You want me to jump in?
Yeah, here in 1 second. I'm gonna finish this just so we can get to me and on to you. I developed an eye for apparel design there. I've really been into clothes my entire life as much as other things, but I've really developed an eye for and an appreciation for high design. What I mean by that is when people take care to design clothing that's not just externally appealing, but it's built to last. And if you turn it inside out, those details are every bit.
You should see Andrew's Japanese denim collection. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was the, that was probably the inflection point into high-end clothing. You know, the good construction was some bespoke Japanese raw denim.
Oh, yeah.
Hidden rivets and great great things like that. Um, yeah, I'm passionate about values of sustainability and conscious capitalism. I'm really passionate about building a business that can do as much good in its community as it does take from it, and ideally more. Like we had this conversation back in the day a lot, but we still it's resonated with me, which is what is the price that we pay to make something new in the world. There's things that exist. There's clothes that are already there. So, if we're going to use the energy, the resources to bring new items into the world, then it needs to mean something beyond just selling them. And there's a lot that goes into that, and we'll get into it. But it's does it already exist in its current form? Is someone doing it as good as it could possibly be already? Then we're not going to touch it.
And that's what drew me to Andrew. And I'll get into myself, but what he's talking about here is really part of the reason I've been sticking with it and staying involved, because it's it's a lot of people are leaning towards this direction, but some people can talk it and some people walk it. And I totally fully believe with Andrew's vision and with what I bring to the table, we kind of are feeding off each other and really pushing forward on this. So it's pretty impressive. I'm pretty excited about the future.
Yeah, and I'm happy to have you.
Yeah.
And obviously, it must be a good bond since we're I don't know how many miles away and work together every day. So with that, introduce us to you, Chris.
So I grew up the first 20 years of my life in Southern California. Santa Barbara, California is where I grew up. I grew up as a board sports kid, surfing, skating. My dad was a good surfer, and he kind of tuned me in on that part of my life, and got to skate when I was really early. And I started, I skated for about 20 years. And then it kind of slowed down. But in that time, I went to community college in Santa Barbara, and I finally was kind of like, I want to get out of this little town. So I moved up to Eugene, went to University of Oregon for a couple of years, environmental science major. That's where I kind of really got tuned into, what's happening on the planet and things like that. And it kind of just led me in a direction. Then after college, I invested in a little property down in Costa Rica and started living real simply down there for some years. And then I came to Fayetteville, Arkansas, where I met Andrew. It was supposed to be a short trip, and I absolutely fell in love with Fayetteville. And long story short, I somehow ended up staying there for almost 5-6 years. I got involved with Fayetteville as well. And how I actually started was like, people ask like, how do you get into this industry? And I'm going to answer that question I'm sure there might be one or two people on this live stream right now that says like, I'd love to start getting in the industry. How do I, approach that? And,
so what was your first job at Fayetteville?
Part of it is, I hate to say this, but it's kind of like, a lucky thing, but part of it also is just having a passion, following it. And, I always had a drive with, using Adobe's products, and, I took classes, and I was just always into graphic design and things of that nature. And when I started at Fayetteville, it was kind of filling a role and just being an assistant. And as I developed my skills, I was able to kind of take a lead on certain projects and build faith. And eventually, through my passion of just being an avid learner, I kept upping and getting better at different projects. And eventually I was able to lead the production team, doing the apparel design and production for the company for several years. And that was huge. And that's where I really started building bonds with Andrew and moving forward with that. Eventually, I met my soon-to-be wife there in Fayetteville. She's from Fayetteville. And we decided to make a life change and come out to Portland, Oregon. I have a lot of roots here from college and other friends, and so we've been here since, and just hanging out. And it's pretty impressive how you know, these day and age, like the fact that I'm talking to you guys online, and me and Andrew are pretty much running this company remotely. We meet up once in a while for different projects and stuff to run over things, but it's pretty impressive what you can do this day and age. But that's a little bit about myself.
Yeah, thank you. I think you cut out for a second. Did you say what your first job was at Fayetteville? The first thing you were actually doing?
So no, when I showed up, there was a pamphlet on a desk, and you know, again, I was only going to stay for a short period of time, and there was a pamphlet from Red Bull on this desk, and a couple of the guys working, I said, like, you know, this is a Red Bull Flugtag, like this is a really big deal. And I don't know if you guys heard of the Red Bull Flugtag, but basically you build a contraption and then run it off like a 30-foot tower and see if it'll fly. And they kind of brushed it off. And a few days later, I looked and I said, hey, what are you guys doing with this? Is this thing happening? And they weren't taking it as seriously, or I guess they didn't know it was going to be as big as it was. And I started showing them that it's like, there's up to like, you know, 40,000 people or whatever watching and filming and all this whole thing. And they started getting big-eyed and being like, oh my God, this is happening. And so I actually took that project and ran with it. And for better or worse, we got it done and did the Flugtag. But then I started seeing what the guys at Fayetteville were doing, including Andrew. And I got real excited about the projects and all the stuff that was happening. So started kind of just finding a way to dig in and hang out and, you know, learn. And eventually I just kind of got a job, you know.
Yeah. Well, the moral of that story is the way that you get into the apparel industry is come build a float that is designed to be dropped off.
Yeah, something like that.
Body of water. And then hopefully that company needs a job, you know, after you're done with that.
I would say, though, when people wonder and they say, you know, how do you get into this industry and all this? And it is a weird industry. I feel like it's, you know, a tougher industry to crack. And I would say that, you know, keep focusing on your creative passions. And, you know, I didn't go to school for this, but I feel like you have to slightly get lucky and also know people. But if you just, like they say, it's kind of cheesy, but, you know, you keep working at it and keep following your, you know, your design process and stuff, it will happen. You will meet the right people and it'll happen. So,
yeah. Well, let's say we got a couple questions on here. I'm going to answer those. Well, I'm going to answer one that came in because he was very passionate about getting it answered.
Sure.
Via our on Reddit. We actually made some announcements about this on Reddit and got some questions in ahead of time. We've also got a subreddit on Reddit. It's r-Livsn Designs. It's another place that we have, you know, kind of been doing on the side since the very beginning to have a platform for you guys to make great conversation.
Please interact on Reddit. It's you know, I'm addicted. I have my Reddit addictions, but go to Reddit. You can post questions. Just start, you know, chatting with other people about you know, it doesn't have to be just lives in apparel, just apparel in general, and post questions and get to know each other on there. It's a great platform. Yeah.
So one of the questions someone asked, this is an interesting one, and it was, what does wilderness mean to you?
What does wilderness mean to me?
Yeah.
You want to go first or should I?
I'll take it because I was thinking about it a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
I didn't get on Google. I was going to figure out and go back and try to remember what the actual technical term for wilderness was. I think it's something about a certain amount of miles and distance or time it takes you to get out into a certain place away from any, you know, civilization. But you know, aside from, you know, the Webster introduction or Webster definition, really wilderness means getting out somewhere where you're away from, you know, other human interaction and signs of human life. And so to me, if you say, what does it mean to me? That could mean, especially where we are in Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is a smaller population center but surrounded by beautiful wilderness or, you know, out nature. You can go pretty near to town. Well, maybe not technically considered wilderness as such as it would be like out west. You get away from any sound of a car, any sign of life, you know, not the sign of life, but sign of other people, and you get to be alone with your thoughts and alone with nature and really commune with the area around you. And that's something that I think that I don't really maintain 100% sanity unless probably once every month I get out by myself out into the woods somewhere and was able to sit quietly for an extended amount of time.
I'm needing it right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can go out, you can go out with friends, you go camping, you go floating, you go hiking, you do all those things. But I need to get out by myself sometimes, and that's what wilderness means to me: is being alone with thoughts, being able to get in there with nature and really connect with the world around you.
Yeah, I feel pretty similar. I didn't really harp on this at all, but I'm a big time backpacker. I like doing longer trails. And so for me, wilderness can be, I think it's the moment where you get just in, other humans can be around and all this, but it's just this moment where I think the problems that I deal with on a regular basis, or the thought processes that I usually go through in my day-to-day life while living in the city or other places, it's kind of like shedding these layers of this onion. And when I start to, spend some time out there, it starts to peel the onion away. And for me, I think after, even an overnight trip, while I'm making the campfire and stuff, it's like another layer of the onion, and my brain starts to just kind of decompress. And so I don't know if that's wilderness exactly, but for me, it's, the act of being in that wilderness area is a full decompression from everything.
Typically, if you see a blog post or some sort of inspired looking content, for me, it's because I just got back from being outside somewhere. It doesn't really come after a long trip working. So we do have a question. This is a great one. This is an illustration of the kind of question that we have, which is just information. Pat Carvajal Patrick, which is one of our brand ambassadors, also
nice.
several free run, parkour, whatever you want to call it. But he gets out there and he jumps around, and he is extremely good at it. So check him out. He says ETA on the fleece, ship and delivery date. Also, sup, Andrew?
Soon.
Yeah, soon. Actually, just got confirmation that they cleared customs, that were sitting in the port in LA for, I think, about a week and a half. They are now they're on a truck between LA and where we are, Fayetteville, Arkansas. And so I haven't had confirmation of receiving at our warehouse, but they are here. I mean, they are here as in they're on this continent, and they're on the way here. They're done. As soon as they hit our warehouse, we're going to take probably 2 days to receive them. Make sure that everything's good, do inspections, and then start getting geared up for fulfillment. So they will go out this month. I'm not going to make a guarantee on exactly.
We love you guys sticking with us on this.
Yeah, that was a process, and we've had such a supportive group of customers through this that came on and said that we're willing to wait while you guys kind of go to battle with the mill and get a better fabric made to bring you a better product. So thank you for that. But yeah, those fleeces are coming, and I actually have, and it doesn't sound fair at all, but I have mine because I had a top of production sent to make sure that it was good before they left, and they're good. If it wasn't 85 degrees outside, I'd be wearing it right now. So let's look through it. More questions. Wolf and Pine, super inspiring. Thank you. Okay, so sustainability superstars. Appreciate it. Keep the questions coming, guys. All right. Mac Welding Fab. Hey, yeah, you've been on here every time. I appreciate that. When version 2 comes out, are you still going to offer version 2 pants? You can feel free to correct me if I'm misinterpreting this, but I think you mean version 1. I mean, no, version 2 will replace version 1. The way we see this is, if you're familiar with software or video game updates where they release a patch, really, like, there's this thing we want to do called patch notes on the site, which you might see here soon, where we release very transparently, version 1 was this. In all these features, version 2 has these changes, and then we'll start getting more granular with that as we refine it. But this is very important that we see this not as, it is a version 2. It is also a refinement on version 1. It's not a total design change, not a new pair of pants. They're going to have the same style, largely similar aesthetic, but what we've done is made improvements. We've got fit improvements, so the upper dimensions have been tweaked all less than half an inch in any one direction, but in several directions to make it have a curved waistband, more flattering rear, a little bit more room in hips and thigh compared to the waist size, based on a lot of feedback of the way that fits. And not enough to where if they fit you well now they're going to change, but enough to where you're going to notice that little bit of difference. Kind of like adding a little bit of seasoning to your dish that makes it kick without overpowering.
They're really awesome, guys. You'll love it.
So we refined it, and so we've also gone to a better, what I think is a better button design on the roll-up system. Changed the height of the roll-up system on the larger scale pants. the roll up 2 inches higher. We've changed that to where they're all 12 inches from the hem for a good height. The pockets are going to be about a 3/4 of an inch deeper in the front. The iPhone sleeve is going to be from not just in the front right, but also in both pockets, and the knife pocket's going to be on both sides. So
It's
nothing
just a
but
refinement on the styling. You know, just to answer the question, the short version is that it's the same pants. We want to, you know, ensure everyone that they're the same, but we just took a lot of feedback from the customers and little different additions, and we're just gonna fine tune them, you know. And like what Andrew was saying when we released the patch notes, it's just updating a little bit. And if anything ever big changes, it'll be a different style. We'll you know, make sure everybody's very aware.
yeah. Let's see. One of the other questions that came in from one of our Reddit followers is what was the worst job you've ever had?
The worst job I've ever had.
Mine's not a great answer, so I'm gonna let you answer this one, Chris. What's the worst job you've ever had?
God, the worst job I've ever had. I think the worst job I've ever had was actually the shortest job I've ever had. You know, I did valet parking for a long time. I think anybody that's listening that is, you know, in college or anything that is interested in having just a part-time job, I think valet is just a great way to go. But while I was doing valet parking, there was a wedding going on, and the wedding manager asked me they were short-staffed, and he asked me to switch over and become a waiter. And I've never worked in the food industry. I don't really know anything about it. I've never carried a tray. And so they throw me out there and they load up a tray with champagne flutes. And I walk out with the champagne flutes like this and walk over, and I'm putting them down one at a time. And I don't realize that you need to counter the weights back and forth. I'm not thinking about it. And as I take one too many off, basically the tray gets top heavy on one side. I flip the tray the other way, and I spill about 8 champagne flutes on a lady's lap, and I was fired instantly. And I was so scared and embarrassed, and I thought I was going to die from the husband, who pretty much I thought he was going to just beat me up. So that was probably my worst job I've ever had.
Ooh, we got a good question here. Actually, this one came in through direct message, which you guys, you know, direct message questions are great, but you can throw them up here in the comments. So. This one said, where is it? Imagine that 25 years from now, you're looking back on your life. What would be the legacy that you would hope for your brand to leave behind?
Wow.
That's a good question. You should be a journalist. All right. That's good. That's something that I think about a lot. I mean, not, you know, not like, you know, get this like too deep or metaphysical, but, you know, you only have, sound like Eminem, you only got one shot. You only got one life to live, really. So, you know, you have one legacy to leave. You're on this planet for a limited amount of time, and you can choose what your impact is going to be. You can choose to just get by, or you can choose to help people out. And you can choose to make an impact. And so with me, you know, you have to balance that. I, you know, have a personal life. I have personal goals. I've got a wife, and we're going to have children one day, and you know, we've got, you know, family and things to take care of. So obviously that comes first. You know, that's part of business. It's important to take care of your own, and then a part of this is to make an income. But that's taken care of, you know, ideally at a pretty small scale. And then you have a choice. Do you maximize profit and try to get as much as you can out of a business and your customers and your employees, and just I think we might have lost Chris. Chris, if it may have been a connection issue. If you get back on here, we'll patch you back in. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Chris comes back. But where was I? I mean, yeah, you can make a choice to really, you know, build a business that is maximizing profits and really just doing what it can to grow, and that's fine if what you're doing with that money is good. But I think that there's definitely a better way to do it. I think that you can build a business that at once creates profits, builds a good life for your family and your employees and your stakeholders, and has good returns for its investors at the same time of creating value in the community in which it's there. And when I say community, I don't just mean the local area around where we are, Northwest Arkansas. That's part of it, but it's really the world community, the stage. We're building a product. We can build that product clean. We're building a product. We can build that product to last. We're selling to you. We can do it in a non-manipulative way. We have employees. We can pay them well. We have operations. We can do that sustainably. There's a lot that we've learned through this process with Chris and I. There's choices at every step. There's choices in your packaging. There's choices in the way you label things. There's choices in how you source it. There's choices in your oversight on your supply chain. And really, there's choices in the kind of products you make. I would like, the question was about a legacy. I would like it's for people to look back and say that they did business in a way that is a model for companies, for future companies or even contemporaries. It says, hey, this can be more than about profits. This can build a community around it. This can do good for the world. This can not generate any extra harm, and this can really be a positive force as opposed to just one that is negative. I think that the benefit of having business can and should outweigh the environmental and social and financial costs to build one. There's profits, corporate profits, and then there's social profits. And if you're skeptical, I understand. We're very small right now, but we don't have small ambitions. This is to build us up to the point where we can, hit some of the goals that we have. Scale brings ability to. Here's my light. We're not at the Black Elk studio this time. You can tell this is live, huh? But we'll do it without light. Yeah, so I feel like I answered it. It's really the legacy is somewhat to do business the right way, do business the way business should be done, to be innovative, to do things right, and to show that that there's another way to do things that is not detrimental. So with that, I'm going to give a last opportunity for a few more questions. I think we did lose Chris. Hopefully Portland still exists and he's up there hanging out. Any more questions as we go? If you don't have any, if I don't see it come in the next few minutes, I'll wrap it up. If you enjoyed this, give a wave or a thumbs up. Next week is going to be a good one. We're actually going to bring in several different versions of the Flex Canvas pants. We're going to show you the design process. I'll show you the initial sketches. We're going to talk a lot about the supply chain side. We're going to talk about how to source, how to find fabrics, how to find trims, how to find a manufacturer partner, how to vet them, how to make sure that the working conditions are good, how to go through that process, and we're going to go in the whole thought and theory behind the production process. Looks like Chris is back. I'm gonna let him come back on and say bye to y'all.
All right, I got out of my car. It was not.
All right, Chris. Well, we ran out of questions at this point, and so I was gonna wrap it up. I was wrapping it up just now, but I wanted to give you a chance to say bye to everybody and give them a final thought.
Final thought.
On the spot.
Get out in the woods because it's almost summertime and it's time to start doing that before it gets too hot.
Oh, it's summertime. I'm part of the USA.
Ah.
All right. Thank you all so much for coming. Tune in on Sunday. Tell your friends about this. Get more people to come. Ask questions. Once again, we're looking to grow this each week. This engagement's been really great. I so much appreciate y'all being here. And we are building up to this next Kickstarter, and we have really, really, really big plans and good goals to go to, and you guys can help us get there. So thank you very much. See you.
Thanks so much.